All right. How y'all doing? If you don't know me, my name is 12 Gauge. Welcome to my channel. I've been here for a while now. I just took like a unintended break for a week. You know, I missed all of you. And yes, I'm on vacation. I just thought I'd do a little live before I got started. I got a little bit of time before I'm off and running. So I'm in the hotel right now. I hope you are doing all right. Like I said, I got a copyright strike, so I was grounded for a week. No uploads, no lives, nothing like that. So I'm back again. Shady's back. Tell a friend. Guess who's back? Guess who's back? Guess who's back? You know the rest, right? Anyways, I better stop before I get in trouble with that. Anyways, I wanted to talk today about the Stingray and the Idaho4 case. I did a Rumble video about this, and I'm just gonna kind of play that video, and I'm gonna commentate. It's not gonna be a very long video because I got stuff to do, but I just want to let y'all guys know that I appreciate y'all for hanging in there, and the ones that sent me messages and comments and stuff like that. I really appreciate it. And to all the new subs, welcome to my channel. I'm pretty sporadic about lives. I do try to schedule them, but you know, this isn't my only gig, so be sure that you have your notifications on and things of that nature. So without further ado, let's get this started. Christy, how you doing? Latina, Aquarius, Echoes. And I don't have my laptop that I usually use, so I'm having to do everything on this little laptop that I started the whole channel with. And it's kind of difficult to maneuver this without a mouse and everything else. So I hope y'all understand. I know y'all do. But let me tell you guys a little bit about the chat in case you've never been here before. The chat is kind of chill, it's calm. There's not a lot of drama. Please don't come in here trying to run me or run things, because that's not what we do here. We agree to disagree, and everybody's opinion is valid. So try to remember that the mods have been informed of how to moderate it. They're very well at what they do. So let's just try to go with their cue. Mods, y'all know the rules, so you keep it tight and keep it calm. Thank you so much for your hard work. Um, Here we go. Like I said, this week long vacation kind of, I've forgotten how to manage this. It's weird. Like you stop doing it, and then you just get kind of weird as far as getting this all down. I guess that's playing on its own over here. Okay. We have 11 people in the chat. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. Um, can y'all hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Like I said, I don't have my normal equipment, so I don't know if y'all can hear me okay, if you can see me okay. All right. All right, thank you. Well, here we go. I'm going to talk a little bit about the stingrays, and if y'all don't know what they are, I kind of diagrammed them a little bit here. Okay, where's the sound at? Trying to get my YouTube channel back, so if you want to go to my YouTube channel to look at some videos, my channel is called 12 Gauge Investigative. So feel free to go and check that out and find out what you like about my channel. Well, tonight I want to talk about this Idaho4, kind of like what I said in the background. It says, Stingray, you don't say. Because there's been suggestions that there's possibly stingrays affecting the transmission of certain things that were going on at the 1122 home. So we're going to play a couple videos and then we'll discuss them. Because that's what I do, is I play the videos and then I discuss them. So here we go. Let me pull this one up. Then we can talk about it. Okay, let me pause this a little bit. In case y'all don't know what a stingray is, a stingray is used by the criminal justice, especially law enforcement, FBI, people of that nature, DEA, when they're trying to track, let's say, a missing child. They use a stingray in the general direction so they can intercept phone calls and text messages to be able to formulate a possibility of high risk people in the area, especially after kind of like a Amber Alert goes out or whatever. I would say that they would probably bust out the stingray, and oftentimes it's used without a search warrant. So, there's been a lot of debates about whether that's legal or not, whether, it's applicable in the court system. But why it's so interesting in this case is because there's been a lot of individuals that their perception is that there were stingrays on the night of the murder, that there were stingrays set up to intercept 911 calls so that whoever was trying to attempt to call 911 from that house, that the stingray was going to intercept it. And obviously, if they thought that, then they probably thought that either the law enforcement or somebody who was associated with the crime committed that act, because it's either done handheld or it's done out of a stationary position, i.e., a van or a car or some kind of area where you can disrupt a signal. What these videos are going to show you is they're going to show you how it diagrams. Like, let's say that you're here at this hotel where we're at, and um, there's law enforcement around, and they're trying to locate, you know, either high risk behavior or some kind of situation that would cause them to um, someone to be breaking the law. So in that case, um, they would possibly use a stingray. Let me play the video for you. That's not the one I wanted. Hold on a second. Anyways, I've been taking a break from YouTube, because not because I want to, but because I really don't have a choice at this point until they let me go back and post. So y'all understand that. Well, here I'm going to play this video, and it gives you a little more insight on the stingray that people swear up and down were interrupting phone calls, were interrupting the ability to call 911, all these things. So here we go.
RTV6, our digital team working for you, uncovering new technology police are using. You're going to want to know about it. It is called a Stingray device, and it's capable of tracking cell phones. Now, this is what it looks like. It was first purchased by the department in 2011, just before Indy hosted the Super Bowl. The Stingray essentially masks itself as a cell phone tower, activating nearby phones and picking up their signals, essentially pinging them. It cannot access the contents of your phone, such as text and calls, but it can help officers locate a suspect quickly. However, in the state of Indiana, you need a warrant to use the Stingray device.
Fourth Amendment prohibits that type of search without a warrant or exigent circumstances. Government, whether it be federal government or local government, has to follow the Fourth Amendment. If they don't, there has to be severe penalty. But think about this in terms of your personal life. If your child is missing, if a loved one has been injured, if they have a threat to be injured, you want government to take every potential step possible to keep them safe. That's legal under the law.
Our digital team also uncovered today the device has cost the department about $500,000.
Okay, so just like that gentleman said, you want to keep your loved ones safe. Even if it costs you money, you want to make sure that you do everything you can to keep your loved ones safe. This one's going to go more into detail. I thought that one was, but this one will definitely do it. Get on with it, bro. I don't have a lot of subscribers over here on Rumble, so I have one in chat, but it's not letting me chat for some reason, so I don't know. Get on with it. What's going on with the electronics these days? Stop complaining, bro. Just get on with it. Stream. Get on with the madness. Understand what I'm saying? No, I don't. Keep it going. You're talking too much. Show the video, bro. Hold on a second. I shared the wrong one again.
Come on, 12 gauge.
Good grief. I'm out of practice. I'm like I've never used this before.
Come on, 12 gauge. We're waiting on you, bro. Gotta do better than this, my boy.
There we go. That's better. I can't chat on here, so if you're still in here, I see you, but I can't respond back to you.
We're good.
Whether
We're
you're
back.
here,
We're back. Get on
here, here, or at one of these, it doesn't matter. This can find you. The common name, Stingray, technically a cell site simulator. First developed for military use, it's made its way into local law enforcement. It can track a person down to the room they're in if they have their cell phone on them. Stingrays turn these into homing devices, and that's just the beginning.
These are tracking devices. This is emitting a signal. This is GPS.
Mike Mino with the North Carolina branch of the ACLU has been watching the spread of Stingrays for years.
It's my understanding that the software that a lot of these devices use is capable of capturing things like your text messages, the numbers you're calling and receiving calls from. We know for sure they're getting people's location.
Here's how it works. Cell phones are always trying to connect to nearby cell towers. A Stingray acts like a cell tower decoy. In what's called a man-in-the-middle attack, it tricks cell phones into thinking it's the nearest cell tower. Phones connect to the Stingray, and police can access a range of personal information. But they don't just get intel on one phone. Every phone nearby is forced to divert to the Stingray. Calls are passed on to a real cell tower. Data scooped up stays with police.
When you ask them why they're using it, they'll say, well, we're targeting certain individuals.
Okay.
So did y'all hear what it said? Calls are passed on to the nearest cell tower. That is not 100% definite, but I've heard otherwise. But he just said calls are passed on to the nearest cell tower. So if a 911 call was to be made from the Idaho4 case, from that home, that the only information they would have been gathering from the cell phones in that home would have been text messages and data usage and what kind of phone calls were being made, but they wouldn't intercept the phone call, so to speak, because then you would know that you were being tracked. And think of it like this. If they were tracking anything in that home, okay, let's say that they were outside or there was stingrays mounted on the trees or on poles or whatever, wouldn't whoever was doing this have known that the situation was about to go down? Like, what, I mean, it just seems like a high stakes operation. Like, you just wouldn't do this if you were going to go commit a murder. I mean, it could definitely happen. I mean, if people were going to that extreme, but there definitely have to be more teams involved than just one person going in the house committing the murder. So you'd have to have a team outside of the house running the stingrays, analyzing the data, all this other stuff. I mean, it's very complex. So I don't know very many people that would just know how to run a stingray. But that's just me. I mean, I'm not contradicting anything you've already heard from other streamers, because you know what? I have my own opinion on it. You know what I mean? So that's my opinion. I mean, I would think that there would be information, you know, they would have known about the DoorDash. They would have known about whether the roommates were texting each other. They would have known what was said, what was being, you know, going on. Why would somebody who wasn't committing the murder need that information? Do you get what I'm saying? No, I don't believe the police had anything to do with it. I'm just saying, if you were going to buy one, what would be the purpose of you having it? You know? Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. I mean, I'm just trying to see outside the box. I'm trying to see further than just the box outside on a pole. Or but if it was on a pole, where was the information being relayed to? Who was at the other end? Who was on the other end getting the information? Where did that information go? Because once it goes into the Stingray part, then it has to go somewhere else to be analyzed. So let me continue to play the video. These are just some questions that I have. Okay. Like that one part where it says calls are sent to a local tower. Well, I've heard people say that in speculation that they've thought that the 911 call that was supposedly placed at 3 a.m. was interrupted by a Stingray. So this shows otherwise. And in order for a Stingray to operate, it looks like there has to be somebody there operating it, whether it be handheld, whether it be in a van or something of that nature. It looks like somebody has to be there governing it. So you couldn't just put it in a tree, or you couldn't just put it up on a pole or anything like that I would think. I mean, because this is just my impression of what this is showing. Like I said, I could be wrong. Won't be the first time or the last. But this supposedly has to be governed by somebody. So let's continue on. I think
But
you
the
can buy
nature of the
them. I think
technology
anybody can
is so
buy them. I'm not
expansive that
sure on
you
that.
cannot use this without countless innocent people having their data captured as well.
The I team has learned at least 3 law enforcement agencies in the Triangle have been using cell site simulators, but they don't like to talk about it and may not be allowed to. These 2 purchase orders show Raleigh and Durham police bought variations of the Stingray within the last 10 years. Raleigh's purchase order, obtained by the I team 2 years ago, shows the department paid more than $120,000 for the device. Separate documents obtained by the ACLU showed Durham spent nearly twice that. In spite of those purchase orders, both departments claimed not to be using one. When the I team asked recently, Raleigh says they stopped using theirs because of outdated technology. With the Stingray, though, secrecy is part of the deal. Durham's contract with the device's manufacturer includes a strict non-disclosure clause, not just about the Stingray, but about the agreement itself and its subject matter.
There is such secrecy around this, and I think it's because it's so powerful.
I have a cell site simulator, and we do use it.
Wake Sheriff Donnie Harrison is the only current law enforcement officer we could find here or elsewhere willing to talk even a little about the device and how it's used.
It's a very useful tool that we use, not only for the bad guys, but for looking people that are lost, looking people that say they're going to commit suicide. Sometimes we have used them for children that's missing that have phones. And basically, that's all about all I'm going to say about it.
Harrison told us Wake County has had a cell site simulator since 2000.
So if somebody calls in and they're committing or they're stating that they're going to commit suicide, this is a great tool to find them. I mean, especially if you don't know the address. I mean, but that still says that you have to be on your cell phone. So how this relate to the situation that happened? Supposedly the individual was not on his cell phone. And if there was a 911 call, it would have went to the tower. It wouldn't have like been interrupted. How? I mean, I get the conspiracy where you want to say that the 911 call was interrupted and they weren't able to call at 3 in the morning to get help. But if that's possible, that means that police have records of this stuff. So you don't think that if the FBI or somebody, ISP, found out that Moscow PD had Stingrays, they wouldn't be searching their records for any kind of 911 call at 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning or 2 in the morning. That just doesn't add up to me, but,
2008. He insists they're always within the law and always get a warrant first. But there's very little public documentation of those warrants or of the use of stingrays in general here or in any of the cities in which we looked.
But no, we don't like to talk about it. When a general goes in battle, he doesn't give out his battle plans.
It's the classic question: safety or privacy? Law enforcement will tell you these things get bad guys off the street and help good people out in the meantime. Critics say we just don't know, and we don't, by design.
As long as we do it lawfully, I don't care what
Good
people
to
say.
see you.
My job is to keep people safe.
The public needs to know more. I think this is something that the courts need to know more about. There are real questions about whether a technology.
But you know what the sad part is right now in society? Just like that gentleman just said, I don't care what society says. My job is to keep people safe. Well, people's mentality these days, for some reason, they don't want to know the honest truth. They want to make up their own narrative. It's almost like you need to show us your cards, but we're not going to show you anything we got. And when you start demanding it, we're going to fight you for it. So when did it become one-sided like that? That's what I want to know. And how are the police so secretive that they were able to put stingrays there and then go the next morning and take them off the trees, off the poles, and nobody see them? With all the cameras and all the video equipment that was going on, they're not very big. Why would you need to put them in a pole? Hang them on a light pole. Why not just drive up, block away or something, and just sit there and turn it on? Especially if you're surveilling somebody. So could it be possibly they were surveying somebody in that neighborhood? And this person's cell phone or a burner phone was being tracked along with everybody else's in that area? Maybe that's how they found out that Dylan and Bethany were texting each other, because they're able to get the phone activity from everybody in that house, everybody in that vicinity that used the tower that the Stingray was interrupting. And how long did that happen? How long were those phone calls being monitored?
Technology that soaks up innocent people's data can be used constitutionally.
This is some interesting stuff, honestly. I mean, if it really goes on, shocked that we haven't heard more about it. I mean, because it seems to be not as legal as people say it is, but who am I? Who am I? It's like people talk fairy tales and tiddlywinks, and the city flocks. But you talk facts, and people run. People threaten you. They want you silenced. They want you to be scared and run.
A new threat to your cell phone privacy has arrived, at least in Washington, D.C. Authorities aren't sure who the culprit is or where it came from, but the breach is virtually unstoppable. The Department of Homeland Security has detected unauthorized use of surveillance devices that could be tracking cell phone locations, eavesdropping on calls, and intercepting messages in DC. The devices are known as International Mobile Subscriber Identity, IMSI, catchers, or cell phone site simulators. Hackers can swipe your phone number, your phone's unique electronic serial number, metadata about past phone numbers you dialed, and even information about past cell phone towers your phone has pinged. Normally, your phone pings the nearest cell phone tower to allow you to text, call, or use your data. When an IMSI catcher is on, it forces nearby phones to register with it rather than the nearest cell phone tower. The most powerful IMSI catcher, according to AP, can be deployed in low-flying aircraft. AP also reported that more sophisticated versions can eavesdrop on calls by forcing phones to step down to an older, unencrypted 2G wireless technology, and some attempt to plant malware. These devices can range in size and price. IMSI catchers are often the size of a briefcase, but they can be made as small as a cell phone, and they can cost up to $200,000. These devices aren't anything new. They've been used by federal and local law enforcement for years. The ACLU has identified 73 agencies in 25 states and the District of Columbia that own Stingrays. Harris Corp, a tech company from Melbourne, Florida, has manufactured these surveillance devices for years. They sell them under the model names Kingfish, Amberjack, Hailstorm, and Stingray. These devices are designed so that neither the cell phone user nor providers can detect their use. And even the Department of Homeland Security admitted that it has not been able to pinpoint who or what has been activating these rogue surveillance devices in DC.
Okay. That's kind of the last video that I had for that. You guys are asking some great questions. I mean, that is very interesting to understand that. Like you said, why would a house be blurred out on Google Maps if it's possibly being surveyed? You never know, Leslie, Billy. I mean, you just never know. I mean, I was always told, because not long after this crime, I didn't really understand that Google Maps was going to blur things out. But after the crime, they started blurring out the house. They started blurring out 1112. And then they blurred out that tree at the very end of the street on the right-hand side by the stop sign. So you just never know. You just never know. Hey, Carla, how you doing? Thank you for being here. One thing that I don't understand, that I've been trying to wrap my head around, is, I know a lot of people have different variations about the 12 or 11 pings on his cell phone around the home, in the month leading up to it. I just don't get how on those 11 times, if he was stalking the victims, why he wouldn't have turned the phone off every time. If I'm going to stalk somebody and the night of the murder, I turn my phone off, but the 11 other times I don't. And I don't care to be so blatant, to be, just sitting around and driving around and all this other stuff. It just doesn't make sense. No, I think those blur outs are done by Google. Like, Google blurs out the image on their maps. It's not done by a Stingray. Like, when you look at Google Maps and there's something blurred out, it's because Google has blurred that image out. A Stingray has nothing to do with that. Because there's a lot of businesses, there's a lot of homes that don't want their address being shown or whatever, stuff like that. So that's why they're blurred out, not because the Stingray does that. So, that has always inquisited me, that, about the 11 times that the phone was supposedly around the house. I came up with a theory yesterday on the drive here. I was listening to the Idaho murders or the Idaho massacre podcast. And I'm not going to go into it a lot, but there was a lot of it that I didn't know before. And supposedly, the theory was that whenever he moved there in August and his father set him up with Christian Martinez and he asked him to go, Brian Koberger, to go to the pool party, he supposedly got two numbers, right off the bat. So, it's been speculated that he got those digits, but he didn't follow up. He didn't close the deal. So that tells you a little bit about a person's personality. Because because anybody can look, almost said a word, but anybody can look, anybody can pull a number sometimes, but not everybody can close the deal. Like when it comes to an individual who's not very confident with their abilities, or they have had certain situations in their life that they've had to overcome, and their fear of judgment is intense. Um, you know, being confident and over, to get a number would not be a big deal, but to go to the next step and go in your mind, okay, well, I got these phone numbers. Now what do I do with these numbers? Do I call? Do I hang up when they answer? Do I ask one of them out? Do I, how do I get an in so I don't get rejected? Because when you're bullied, when you're made not to feel a part of a situation, it puts a psyche in you about rejection. It puts a psyche in you about the need to control the situation where you're not having to face those feelings again. So it was factual based on information that we've heard that he was bullied. Many people have said that. He lost a lot of weight, so he was able to control that urge to continue that road of life. He was able to overcome his addiction. He was able to go into college and become, you know, successful in that avenue. But for some reason, and we haven't heard, the social aspect always seems so broken. And that's an interesting factor to me because it's like if he did become fixated on one of them, and maybe he did speak to one of them, maybe one of them knew him, maybe two of them knew him. Just like you're brave enough to talk to the waitresses at the beer place where he used to go, and they asked him not to be talking with the waitresses like that or making them feel uncomfortable. If he's able to muster up the energy or the confidence to talk to somebody, that's not hard a lot of times because if you're a, a teacher's assistant or somebody in a level of power, you kind of put these people as a subordinate in your mind if you're not comfortable. You put them in an aspect where, oh, I do this all the time, so I'll just go talk to these people. And if they reject me, well, I'm not seeing them in that light. But when it's your personal life, rejection stings people who do not have healthy self-esteem. So whenever that happens, there becomes a fixation, an urge. It's if you've never been addicted to anything or if you've never been compulsive about anything, then you really don't understand that feeling. And you may never because it's something that is unexplainable. That's why there's so many relapses and that's why there's so many people that continue to break the law is because it's a compulsion to do something that you don't want to do, but you can't muster up the energy to overcome that fixation. And it's anything. It's food, it's gambling, it's pornography, it's sexual acting out, it's committing murders, it's anything that is beyond the ability to turn that urge off. And if whoever did this was in that mindset. It's rather to annihilate the craving rather than sit there every day not being able to have it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like when you're poor and you see other people going with new shoes and new clothes and new this and new that, why do you think so many of them in the urban areas start to sell drugs and continue to sell drugs? Because money becomes the motivator to get what you want. And it's a sexual crime or a relationship issue type crime, then you're going to have the same mindset. I'm not going to let anything get in the way of me getting what I want. So it becomes that intense for people. And if you don't believe it, have you ever wanted a new vehicle? Have you ever wanted something that you couldn't have and you didn't stop until you got it? But let's say almost when you were about to get it, it got yanked from under you. Think about that in this crime. If you're fixated, not stalking, I'm saying fixated, because you can be fixated at your own home. You could be looking at profiles on the computer at your own home. You could be at the park on your phone in your own home. So if you've been an individual that has wanted things that you just could not have or felt like you weren't good enough to have or hold on to these things, instead of feeling almost psychotic, because that's how it becomes. It becomes so psychotic of an obsession that you'll do anything to eliminate that thought to go away from your mind, including destroying what it is that you want the most. And that's factual. I'm not saying it's factual in this case. I'm saying it's factual when it comes to psychology and the understanding of a human brain. That's how we're wired. So the fact that they said, many things about this individual and how he went into this home and how he could have been focused on the target and this and that and the other, it only makes all the sense if everything in your life you've been trying to achieve and you've been able to get it and overcome it, but then here's the object of your affection and you can't get close to it. And you're not used to being told no because you've reinvented yourself where everything you want, you get. Have you ever seen spoiled people? Have you ever seen people that throw a fit whenever they want something and they're used to not being told no? How do they act? Are they rational? Or do they become kind of crazy looking and psychotic and start throwing a fit and get angry? Well, multiply that times 1,000, and that's what the rage and all that would be possibly in a serial killer or in a killer. Because we're able to bring ourselves down, but if you're fixated, that means you can't break that cycle. You can go work out, you can go walking around, you can stargaze, you can teach, you could go to work, you could act normal, but when it's just you and your thoughts, like I said somebody the other day, it's like a Jumanji drum, and it sits there. I work with addictions, guys, so if you don't think I understand the concept, this is all about addictive mentality. It's about urges and control and domination, possibly revenge. Well, that's all I got to say right now, guys. I got to get out of here because I'm about to go to a water park, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed this short live. Like I said, I'll be around soon. I don't know when that'll be, but thank you so much. Please hit the like button, and y'all take care out there. And Maestro, cue that music if I can get there.